Today is September 30th, 2023. My name is Charles Suter. Today I'm presenting part 4 of my series, Mind versus Brain. Refocus is the topic of this presentation. My main message: do not obsess over what is not, but focus on what is. Again, just as a reminder, the whole purpose of Mind versus Brain is to develop a 4-step process to overcome emotional distress. If you become emotionally upset, do not act out your emotions, as to do so will only make matters worse. Instead, you need to engage your mind to temper the emotions of your brain. And to do that, there's a 4-step process: relabel, reframe, refocus, which is the subject of this presentation, revalue, and doing these 3 alone will greatly de-escalate your emotional distress. And then eventually, if you want to terminate the cause of your emotional upsetness, you need to do some reprogramming. Your brain operates according to its software programs that have been conditioned by learning and experience over your lifetime. The brain has no discretion on how to respond to the outer world. It operates automatically according to its software programs. Only the mind has the power of discretion due to awareness and its reasoning ability. Once the mind's power becomes engaged, it can apply a 4-step process for overcoming emotional distress. The first step is to passively observe, label, and relabel the emotions the mind observes. You may be angry, but over time you'll find that by passively observing your emotions, they will tend to dissipate, and then you can relabel them. Instead of angry, maybe now you're just peeved. The second step is to explore and reframe the deeper causes of the emotional upsetness by asking and answering a series of why questions leading towards the root cause. Now, this presentation focuses on step 3, refocusing attention on the root cause of emotional distress, which is often misperceived as caused by the outer world, but instead is actually caused by a person's perceptions of those events. The root cause of emotional stress is the errant software coding of the brain's inner world. Now, another name for the brain's errant software coding is irrational beliefs. Proposition 1. Negative emotions are caused by unfulfilled expectations. The outer world doesn't always satisfy the brain's software coding. And when that happens, you get one of 2 events. If you simply have a preference that gets blocked, well, you're disappointed. No real emotional upsetness. However, a blocked addiction, which is a firm, ardent demand that the outside world satisfy your needs in the way in which you expect it, you get upsetness. Now, your preferences and addictions are all based upon your brain's software coding. As the outer world circumstances trigger the brain's software programs, the brain responds with thoughts, emotions, and urges to take action. When the outer world doesn't deliver outcomes according to the brain's software programs, which happens when the event does not meet the brain's expectations, the brain reacts accordingly. So if the brain's software coding is improper, the brain will respond irrationally to adversity with emotional distress, because it's focused on the outer world as the cause of its problem. While under emotional distress, there's an urge to struggle, to fight, to change the outer world and force it to comply with the brain's expectations. Now, as you already know, trying to change the outer world, that includes people, places, and things, is hard, sometimes impossible. So emotional distress is often wasted and unnecessary. On the other hand, a properly coded software program will respond rationally when the outer world doesn't meet its expectations. With rational beliefs, the response to blocked expectations is mild, such as disappointment. But with rational beliefs, the response is full-blown emotional distress. A properly framed focus on your real needs and goals and aspirations will help you find better solutions. Proposition 2. Your mind has the power to explore and focus its attention on the real causes. Now, how you frame and what you focus on dominates your thinking and feelings. Apply reframing, this is the step prior to refocus, allows you to find the root causes and to shift the brain's focus away from outer world causes, which many people think is the root cause, but they're not. Instead, refocus the mind on inner world causes, such as the errant software coding. The contents of the brain's software coding makes a big difference on whether unfulfilled expectations will trigger an emotional upsetness or not. Errant software program is the cause of most emotional distress when the outer world doesn't deliver what the brain is expecting. For most people, their brain is programmed to expect success when they do all the right things and they work for what they want. That sounds reasonable. When success doesn't happen, due to circumstances beyond the person's control, rational people regroup and replan what to do next. However, the irrational people, those with errant software coding, well, they'll condemn the outer world, again, that's people, places, or things, or blame themselves for the failure and suffer emotional distress as a consequence. The purpose of the 4-step process is to rapidly reduce emotional distress, find the source of the errant software, and ideally reprogram the software towards more supportive beliefs so those emotional episodes are not repeated. Proposition 3. Once a root cause is identified, refocus your attention on it. Again, reframing leads to a shift from the outer world to inner world causes. Fixing problems is easier if it's done at the root cause, which is irrational beliefs. In fact, the further away from the root cause you try to solve a problem, the more difficult it is and the less likely you will succeed. That's why you need to find and focus on the root causes. With a refocus on root causes, better remedies can be discovered. A trained mind knows in advance that only irrational beliefs, again, this is the brain's errant software coding, have the power to elicit emotional distress. So glitches in the brain software program, which are called irrational, erroneous, or distorted beliefs about how life works, is the root cause. Now, knowing in advance that the root cause from step 2, reframing, is an inner world problem, allows the mind to quickly refocus on the right causes so it can begin to rationally consider wise actions. As already stated, trying to fix events in the outer world is hard and unnecessary. It's much easier to de-escalate your emotions from within your inner world by finding and fixing the errant software codes. Again, another word for errant software codes is irrational beliefs. Now, sometimes the best course of action is to interact with the outer world to influence the outcomes you want. But when that becomes too hard or not possible to do, it's best to make some changes to your irrational beliefs in your inner world, and then search elsewhere for ways to satisfy any unfulfilled needs that you may still have. Sometimes it's best to do a little of both. Interact with your outer world as you interact with your inner world. Now, with insights to your root causes, the mind can make rational choices on how best to respond to adversity. My final message: shift your focus from outer world to inner world causes. The quicker the mind can shift the brain away from the expectation of fulfilling a specific need in a specific way to any acceptable means possible, the more flexible and wider the options available for taking corrective actions. There are many ways to satisfy every goal, need, and aspiration, so don't allow the brain's errant software program to blind you to good options for getting what you want from life. Once you've identified the root cause of any emotional distress, you can refocus your attention on how best to respond to reality to get what's most important to you, and later to reprogram the specific software codes responsible for your emotional distress. Well, that's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.